I want to be happy. Don't you? Hi, I'm Conchetta, cueing everybody to be happy. Do you think happiness can ever become a habit? Well, I don't know about that, but the older I get, the more determined I am to at least try. Because, well, what's the alternative? Recently, I've become acutely aware of the passage of time. Years seem to go by so much faster when you're older. Do you remember being told, you're not old enough? Old enough for what? Well, for anything. For life. It seemed like everything magically happens when we get older. Well, stuff certainly did happen, but I'm sure you've noticed it wasn't all magical. I do think when we're young, it's important to believe that we have the ability to create the life of our dreams. Remember being told that whatever you want to become, whatever you want to do, it's all possible. Anything is possible. You notice no one ever said it was for sure. They said possible, which means it might or might not happen. So I wondered, what is the mathematical percentage for something that is possible? I decided to put that question into AI. It said placing certain at 100% with a fair chance being 50-50, AI rates possible at a mere 20 to 40% chance of happening. Think about that for a minute. When everyone told you that anything you wanted in life was possible, did, did you ever think it meant you might only have a 20% chance of getting it? At best, your odds were a mere 40%? At best? On the plus side, AI also says the percentage of possibility can increase relative to the time, effort, and resources available to you. So, I figure that must mean if two people devote the same amount of time and effort to achieving their goal, what differentiates them is something they often can't control, and that is resources. Now, I know what the word means, but I wanted to see what the dictionary says. It defines resources as A, a source of supply or support, B, a natural source of wealth or revenue, C, a natural feature that enhances the quality of human life, or D, computable wealth. So, apparently, for some people, regardless of their intelligence, talent, or determination, possible is less possible without sufficient resources. I wondered what AI would say if I shifted the lens from logic and statistics to belief, faith, and most importantly, trust in God and the power of prayer. The result was as I had expected. Although human effort alone produces a 20 to 40% chance on the visible human side, AI says, and I quote, faith adds a multiplier effect that cannot be quantified in traditional terms. When you add belief in God's will, divine timing, and the unseen movement of prayer, you open the door to the miraculous, and what was unlikely becomes inevitable through a higher power. Wow. The bottom line is that with belief and trust in God and through prayer, AI is saying the mathematical percentage of what is possible becomes irrelevant. Those numbers dissolve because with God, possibility isn't measured. It's magnified. Faith is not a formula, and prayer is not a probability. When we add that into our lives, the impossible breathes not in percentages, but in grace and promises. There are so many obstacles, both physical and mental, to getting, achieving, prospering. I mean, even if you leave out faith and prayer, The caveat about resources reveals that sometimes you're not entirely at fault for failing to reach your goal. So, what can you do about that? Well, I think you can recognize that the most important essential ingredient on your journey through life requires no resources at all. It's actually the ultimate goal and must be injected into everyone's quote unquote anything is possible dream. And that goal is just simply be happy. I mean, people say they'll be happy when this happens, or when I get that, or when, I don't know, fill in the blank. The thing is, if you're not happy on the journey, when you get there, that underlying dissatisfaction, that continual feeling of unrest will still be there. They say it can take as little as 3 weeks to form a habit and about another month or two to solidify it, meaning to make that habit become natural. It took me a while to realize that most of the time when we react to life, we're doing it out of habit. So, if attempts to achieve your possible dream continually produce a negative result, that can leave you accustomed to living life with depression or, at best, simple dissatisfaction. And those feelings eventually become so familiar that people continue to replicate them even after they've become successful and reached their goal. When we don't include being happy as the most important piece of our goal and instead live life struggling, the struggle becomes a way of life. It becomes a habit. And habits, good or bad, become comfortable. It explains why so many successful people are still unhappy. It's a habit. I'm reminded of what happened back when I was going to the High School of Performing Arts on 46th Street in Manhattan. I'd hear about an audition for a new Broadway musical and sneak out of school to sing for them. I wasn't in the union yet, no equity card, so I'd run a few blocks to Broadway and wait hours in line at those open chorus calls. It was brutal, but that's how it was. Sometimes you'd be there from early morning until late at night. You'd have to sing 16 bars of your song. They'd eliminate most people, and if you made the cut, they'd put you through a dance audition. You'd sing again, then stand in that famous chorus line, and hopefully get a call back to the finals, where you'd be competing against the Actors Equity professionals, many of whom went from one Broadway show to another. Well, to a 15-year-old kid, it was scary, but it was also very exciting. Now, I remember there was this one older woman. At that time, anyone over the age of 40 was old to me. She was a fixture at every one of those auditions. I'd watch her nervously humming to keep her voice warm and fixing her makeup, fidgeting with her hair. Sometimes she'd get into the finals, but she never seemed to get hired, and it made me feel so sad. Then one day, I was at an audition and saw her standing in line as usual when I heard the other girls whispering. Someone who had been at a callback with her the week before said she saw her finally get picked to be in a show. It had already begun rehearsing, so why was she here today auditioning? One of the girls decided to walk over and ask about it. The woman seemed embarrassed and said, "Oh, I just auditioned. I don't want a job." It became one of those Broadway stories, where people wondered, did that really happen? Well, yes, it did. It's a true story. I'm using it as an example of what can happen to someone who got so used to living with anxiety and rejection that it became her normal way of life. A habit, apparently one she didn't want to break. There's a wonderful quote by a rapper, singer, songwriter named Lecrae. He said, "Old habits die hard, and if you're not careful, the person you used to be can overtake the person you're trying to become." Wow. I say, gather those resources, however big or small, Don't forget to check in with God in prayer. Then go ahead and dream your dream. But remember, the most important part of that dream is the journey and being happy along the way, whether or not you actually get where you think you want to go. When we consider that our dream journey is only a possibility, it leaves us open to hearing and accepting the many cues that life sends, pointing us in the direction where maybe we're meant to be. While AI gives a low percentage to something regarded as possible, remember the simple little things which always have a 100% chance of making you happy today. A blooming flower, a loving pet, a dear friend, a smile, a beautiful sunrise, watching birds fly. Albert Einstein said, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." I say, surround yourself with more of that. Hear those finger snaps? Well, you've just been cued. We don't know where we're going, so embrace the journey right now, this moment. Take a deep, gentle breath and exhale with a smile. Savor every lovely stage of your life. Be happy. And if you're on Instagram, my funny dog videos are there to make you smile too. You can follow him at Benissimo_boss dog. Benissimo is spelled Benissimo, and it means fine, perfetto in Italian. And boss dog, one word with a capital B and a capital D. If you enjoy listening, I hope you'll subscribe to Concetta Q's Women of a Lovely Age. Men too. There's your cue again. Whatever you do, wherever you are, just be happy. Why not?